Welcome to the highest navigable lake in the world, Lake Titicaca. And Lake Titicaca actually borders both Bolivia and Peru. We come in on the Peruvian side because there's a bit more to do, a little bit more culture on the Peruvian side. And we have a couple of stops to make here in Lake Titicaca. The first one, about 2 hours from the city of Puno, where we start, is the floating island of Uros. And the story here goes the ancient Uros Indians were fleeing Incan invasion, came to Lake Titicaca, quite a shy people. They didn't want to go to battle, so they hid amongst the reeds. Soon they set down more reeds so they could have a seat on the lake, more reeds so they could stand. Soon their whole communities were set up on these reed islands, and they actually built their homes, as you can see, from those reeds. And we're going to stop for a visit here. Just a fascinating experience, and there used to be 16 different islands. There's now 23. The reason being is someone at the end, the far side of this island, is making a fuss. All the people will gather together, have a communal meeting, and decide, we don't like this guy. They'll chop off his little chunk of the island. Off he goes to form a new community on the lake. So that's why the number keeps expanding. Now, everything here is made of reeds. The boats, the homes, the same people, the Uros Indians, still inhabit these islands. So it's a fascinating glimpse into their culture. And not much has changed over the last, couple thousand years, except for one thing. They now have solar electricity, so they can actually catch up on their telenovelas, their Spanish soap operas. And it's a great place just to explore, get to know the Uros culture a little bit, perhaps going to one of the schools. Sometimes we do a visit and meet the little kids studying there, so quite a fascinating experience. We can actually also eat the reeds themselves. This is how the Uros Indians sustain themselves. It sort of tastes like celery, not too exciting. And then we're off to do one of what often people say is the most rewarding part of their experience, a homestay in Amantani Island. This is about 3 hours from the Uros Islands by boat. This is a fixed island on Lake Titicaca. The story here goes that one of these guys who lived here decided he could probably make a few extra bucks inviting tourists into his home. And he built a little side room for his home, so the tourists would have a place to stay. It really caught on because it's a really fascinating place culturally. Tourists wanted to come through, so many of these homes kind of built little side homes beside their homes to invite tourists. And this is sort of what you would be getting. You'd be, hooked up with your new host mom, host dad. They would take you off to their home, show you to your room, and keep in mind, pretty basic here. We're here for the culture. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like. It's clean. You do get a bed, so that's quite nice. But a really fascinating experience culturally. The mom will usually cook some soup. She'll call you down. She'll say, here's some dinner. You can try to communicate with these people. Now keep in mind, they speak Aymara at the lake, not Spanish. So your Spanish doesn't generally do you too much good here, but it is quite interesting to try and communicate and just learn about these people's lives. Now, we are on the highest navigable lake in the world. Often we will play them a game of soccer, but keep in mind we're at about 4,000 meters above sea level. So usually we get our butts whooped pretty bad and we're panting for breath after about 10 minutes. It's a pretty tough game sometimes. One of the more interesting experiences we can have here, they'll call us down for a dance, often in their community center. We'll all get dressed up in the local garb, and off we go. We'll have a dance with the local people. Quite fun. There we go, dancing the night away in Amantani. Now, as we leave the island after a night, we're going to stop at the other islands along the way. And I always love talking about Taquile Island, which you can see here. And Taquile Island, many of these islands are pretty autonomous from the Peruvian government. They have their own social norms, they have their own cultures. Taquile Island is definitely no exception. You can see here we're just arriving at the island, and it sort of looks like Greece. It's actually quite beautiful. But again, some very interesting social norms. And here it said the men do all the knitting. Okay, so keep this in mind. When you arrive in Taquile Island, you'll see men. They're going to be knitting hats that you can see this gentleman has here. We know something about this guy. We know he's a single man. The single men wear the white hats. The men with colored hats we know are married. So quite interesting culturally. Again, we're going to learn some things about it. They say here, the men do all the knitting. The women, it's their job to sit back, have a beer, and watch sports. I don't know if that's actually true, but such goes the legend on Taquile Island. So you can see here the colored hats, we've got the married men, and then we've got the white hats there, the single men out on the prowl for the taquilanas the female residents of Tequila Island. And there we have a little boy. I mean, it's quite fascinating. They do really take it seriously because when they are going to get married, they're going to present their married hat to the woman that they've been courting. So it's very important that they have a good grasp how to make a tight knit, how to do a really good stitch. So that's it for a little expose on Lake Titicaca. Thanks for joining me. I hope you learned something. I hope you'll continue your tour with me, and happy booking.